Hello everyone, Kate here from Keight Krafts, sharing with you another project for Hollow Tree Hobbies. Let's get started. So to kick things off, I have gone ahead off camera and used the fruit tiny tags, the watermelon one, and I've gone ahead and cut off the little tiny tab that goes on the top. And here we are using some of Fawn's Guava dye ink, and we are just going to ink blend a bit of that around the fruit part of the watermelon. Now, I probably should have brought this down a little bit lower, as you'll see later in the video, that I end up having to go back in and touch it up a little bit because it shows a little bit of the white. So if you're going to do this, make sure that you cover it completely in your red ink. You could use solid paper or pattern paper, but today I chose to do a little bit of ink blending. So next we have some Jalapeño Ink by Fawn, and I am just going around it with a little bit of the green here, and this is the rind of the watermelon. So once I've gone ahead and done that, I'm going to go ahead and just touch it to the ink pad itself, and you get this really lovely little texture to the rind, so it almost looks like it's got the little spider webby veins to it, if you know what I mean. I personally am not a fan of watermelon. I am one of those odd duckies who just does not like the taste, does not like the texture. I don't even like artificial fruit flavored watermelon stuff, so yeah, it's kind of ironic that I am making a watermelon card. So next we are going to have the little backing part, and this is going to go where the seeds are. You'll see in a bit. So we're just taking our licorice black ink and I'm just rubbing it against the paper. You could use a ink blender for this, or your finger, or whatever you feel comfortable using, paper towel, whatever you got. So next we are going to use our Barely Arts glue, and we're going to add some glue around the back side of where our little watermelon seeds are. And once we're satisfied with that, we're just going to layer that on top, give that a good mash down, and then we'll go ahead and do the same process for the other slice that we did. Again, just going around the seeds. You don't want to have too much, but just enough to adhere your little black strip. So once we've got that, we'll give that a good mash down, and then you can see what I mean with the little black bits. So here's where I run into a little bit of a snafu. I had already put glue on our white piece here, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to wipe that off, and instead of actually rubbing the ink pad to the part where it has glue, I'm just going to take a paper towel and lift some of that up. That way I'm not getting anything dirty, and I can shift my little spot where I'm using the ink so I don't get any glue on my ink. And then this one, I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to add a little bit of the red ink with my paper towel, and that way it covers all the way around the edge. Now, I'm not worried about it being messy, as you don't really see this part once I glue everything together, and if you do, it gives it a little bit of texture, if you ask me. So once we've gone ahead and done that, I'll put a cap back on my ink, and then we'll go ahead again with our Barely Arts glue, grab a little bit more glue on that back side, and then we'll go ahead and line that up around the bottom. So you could already see that part of it's starting to come together. So once we're happy with that one, we'll go ahead and repeat the process with the other one, adding a little bit of glue to the back side of the part of this rind, and then we'll go ahead and line everybody up and give that a good mash down, and then this way we can move on to our next little bit. So once we've got the rinds, we are going to follow the same process. So again, we're going to add a little bit of glue to the background. Now this was fairly easy to figure out for me. I mean, once I had a concept of where everybody goes, because I wasn't exactly sure what went where. And once I assembled everything before I glued everything together, it made a lot of sense. So these would be perfect for just about anything. I mean, you could cut the tags off and put them on a card, and then cut more out for tags if you had a gift. I know that there are watermelon stamps, I think, in the Crazy Antics, just one little one. That would be a neat one to do like a patterned paper with, or like if you had some kind of wrapping paper, you could put it all over, just to kind of make it watermelon theme. So next, I've gone ahead off camera and I have used the Pint Sized Summertime 12 by 12 paper pack, and I've used the MFT Stitched High-Low Cover-Up die, which is new to me. I saw this on the Hollow Tree Hobbies website and knew I just had to have it because it just looked like a lot of fun. You could create a scene in a little square and then have your little sentiment in the little rectangle at the bottom. There's so many possibilities for this, and I cannot wait to use this one for Christmas cards. That's what I'm most excited about. That and Halloween. So once we've gone ahead and added glue and added our white paper to the background, we are going to go ahead and add some more glue to the inside of that square, and we are going to take another piece of the paper pad that we use, the Summertime, Pint Sized Summertime. I've gone ahead and cut out the frame twice, so that way I would have these both in different colors, watermelon colors, if you would, if you'd like to say. So what I did was I made sure that the little dot pattern was facing the opposite direction, just so you got that little added interest. So off camera, I've gone ahead and used Oliver's ABCs, and I've cut out "Thanks a Million." Now, hindsight, I probably would have lowered the thanks just a smidge and not had it right off the top there. And another thing I might have done differently, looking back at this card, was adding a little bit of black splatter. You could add a little bit of black splatter to the background, and it would give it more of a watermelon-y feel, because you've got that pink and you've got that green and then you've got the letters in white. I probably would have added a little bit of white splatter or black splatter to this before I had added the lettering, but it was late when I was doing this one, and yeah, I was just having a lot of fun. And yeah, that's another option that you could probably do if you decided that you wanted to recreate this card. So again, we are going to line everybody up here, and we are just going to go ahead and glue down all of our letters so that we have "Thanks a Melon," but we're going to hold off on that A for just a second, and you'll see why in a minute. I thought about just leaving the A there and then putting the melons down a certain way, but then I thought, it'd be neat to kind of join these guys together to create one big giant half of a watermelon kind of thing. So off camera, I've gone ahead and I've taken some foam squares and I've added them to the back. I've cut them down a little bit to fit the shape. And then we're going to double stick this with a little bit of glue in case I need that little bit of wiggle room. So I'll go ahead and take my reverse tweezers, line up that top part to see where it is that I want it to be, and then we'll go ahead and mash that down, and then we're going to repeat the same process. So again, peeling off the release tape from the foam strips that I put on the back, or the foam squares I should say, adding our double stick in case we need a little bit of that wiggle room, and then we'll go ahead and grab our tweezers and we'll line that up as best as we can. Now this doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to add in an extra step. So I've taken a strip of the green paper off the top of my head. I can't think of the name of that particular paper, but it is very lovely. And I've gone ahead and cut it down to, I think it was probably about 2.5 inches in length and maybe a half of an inch wide, give or take. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I've gone ahead and flagged the ends. And then I had a little bit of leftover bit right here that I'm going to add to the back, so that way I don't get too much sinking to the banner here. Because you're going to have to contend with the layers of the rind to your watermelon, so I thought maybe adding a little bit of that extra green at the back there would give it a little more stability. And then we're going to go ahead and add some glue to our A. Now I'm not sure exactly where this A is going to sit, so I just put glue all over it. And then we're going to very carefully line that bottom part of the little line that goes across the A. Make sure that it's covering the bottom of our banner, just so it looks like it's just floating there. So next, we are going to add in a bit of a border. So I've gone ahead and cut a border that is just smaller than 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, because our MFT border die is 4 by 5 1/4, so we want just a hint of that green popping through, almost like reverse to your watermelon, if you will. And I like that this jalapeno is a little bit darker, because it really draws your eye into the card itself. So we are going to do a little bit of double stick here, with our tape runner, and then we are going to add some glue. So once we've got the adequate amount of tape to our little card base here, we are going to add glue just around the edges here to make sure that they adhere nice and we don't get any lifting in the corners. Then of course we will write in our Hollow Tree Hobbies in glue on the back side with some hearts. And then very carefully we're going to line that up. Now this is why I like to double stick, because I couldn't shift it over quite a bit. So what I did was I just peeled it up and just shifted just a smidge. And then we can add this to our card base. So again, we're going to double stick this. I'm going to add some of my tape runner to the back side of our panel here. And once I'm happy with the amount, we're going to come in again with our glue. Again, we are going to go around the edges just so we don't get any corner or sides lifting because of it being on the panel. You know what I mean. Again, we're going to write our Hollow Tree Hobbies on the back side in glue. You don't have to do this. This is just optional and something I enjoy doing. And then once we're happy with the amount of glue we have, we are going to stand above our project, line up our corners. Once we're satisfied, we're going to give that a good mash down. And then we're going to add in just a smidge of Wink of Stella. Now this is also optional. You know, I just cannot not put anything sparkly on my card, and I thought this little hint would have added a nice little bit of interest to our project. So once we have completed the amount of Wink of Stella, again I'm going around the Rhine here, you don't have to, but I just thought this was a fun feature. We are going to have our completed card. So what did you guys think? What would you do differently? I'd like to know in the comments below. And if you haven't yet, give this video a like. I also welcome you to subscribe and check out the Hollow Tree Hobbies, where I will have all of the links in the description box below. And as always, thanks for hanging out with me today. Take care.